Good morning, beautiful people. This is Mrs. Patterson and Mrs. Felix, and we are coming at you on day 2 of week 6. And our goal this week of lesson 19 is learning all of the different elements of poetry. Before we get started, I want us to all get ready, shape our minds around being focused and being successful. And we're going to do that quickly with our pledge of success. I will be the rose that grew from the concrete, able to stand on my own feet. I am proud of who I am and confident in who I'll be. If I'm focused, I will achieve anything that I can dream. Look out, world, because once I've started, there is nothing stopping me. It's very important that we start each day off with the pledge of success, but it's super important this week because our pledge of success has a lot of things in common with the elements of poetry. We can hear a rhythm as we go through our pledge of success. We see some rhyming words in there. And so we're going to see a lot of different elements that we talked about yesterday, whether that be a verse, a stanza, a meter, a rhythm, a rhyme. But we're going to see all those different structural elements today. But I just wanted to point out that our pledge of success also has some of them in there because our pledge of success is also a poem. So that leads us into our standard for this week in language arts. We are focused on ELA GSE 4RL5. Our goal is to explain major differences between poems, dramas, and prose and refer to the structural elements of a poem, such as a verse, rhythm, or meter, and a drama. If we were talking about a drama, we would really be focused on the cast of characters, the setting, description, dialogue, and stage directions when we are writing or speaking about that text. However, by the end of this week, our major goal is to be able to confidently say, I can explain the elements of poetry. I know what a verse is. I know what rhyme is. I know what a stanza is. So we're going to do that all together this week by working with our new story of the day. And this story is called Walking Big Willie. In this lesson, we are going to be reading a different genre today. This is called a narrative poem. And with a narrative poem, it has certain structural elements in it, such as the verse, the meter, it has rhythm, it has rhyme. But more importantly, it tells a story. It explains what is happening as we go along in the story. So it has those similar elements, but it is also telling a story, and it has characters, a setting, and a plot. It just also has that verse, the rhythm, the rhyme. So remember from yesterday, we had our academic talk words, a verse, which is one line in a poem by itself. We said this was similar to a sentence in a story. When you put all of those verses together, you get what is called a stanza. So from here, where it says while, all the way down to and dreams of chasing neighbors' cats, this one portion is called a stanza. A line would just be this right here. A verse would just be while I'm working hard at school. But a stanza is when you put all of those verses together and you group them, and we get while I'm working hard at school, all the way to cats. That would be our one stanza. So we are learning the different structural elements throughout a text, and we're going to be doing that with our story, Walking Big Willie. So we talked about a verse, which is just one line in a poem, or one sentence similarly. When you group them all together, you get a stanza. Those are different structural elements, different parts of a poem that you can see. You can look and see a verse. You can look and see a stanza. But there are also parts of a poem that you hear. Those things are the meter. A meter is whenever you have a strong or a weak syllable sound. If you remember the word syllable, a syllable is simply where different parts of a word are broken up, where you hear different parts of each of those words. So in the word syllable, there are 3 syllables. It's wherever you are able to break apart the word and you hear all of those different inflections and sounds with it. So a meter tells you where to stress the sound of the syllable or where to have a weaker sound. And we're going to see that as we go along with this text today, or with this poem. Another one of our academic talk words was the word rhythm. And the rhythm is the pattern of sound that you hear as you read. So it's like a beat when you think about a song and a rap song or a hip hop song or a pop song, but it's the beat behind it. That is your rhythm that tells you how to say the words. And then finally we have rhyme, which is whenever we have the same ending sounds to a word. And we're going to see a lot of rhyme in today's poem as we read. So today we're going to be reading a narrative poem. This poem is going to be telling us a story as we go along. I want you to first read it independently and just read to understand and experience the poem. Just read to understand what it's saying, what it is about. And we'll have some comprehension questions to check if you truly understood what you read. Afterwards, we're then going to read to study the poem's structural elements. We're going to go in there and look for the verses, look for the stanzas, look for the meter, the rhythm, the rhyme, and see if we can identify those different things. So if we look, we see an image of what appears to be a young boy and a dog, and it's called Walking Big Willie. So I'm going to assume that this poem is about a large and lively dog and his owner going for a walk. As we read and as you read independently, I want you to place a check mark above any of the confusing words or phrases that you come across. And then before asking for help or before referencing a dictionary, I want you to look inside, around, and beyond each of those unknown words or phrases to see if you can figure out what it means. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our story, Walking Big Willie by Clarice Bartonelli. And we are going to listen for that rhythm, listen for those rhyming words. We're also going to be looking for different verses as well as stanzas. So this is Walking Big Willie by Clarice Bartonelli. Well, I am working hard at school to master math and this and that. At home, Big Willie sleeps a lot and dreams of chasing neighbors' cats. Big Willie shakes himself awake when through the door I come at 3. A furry bullet knocks me down. A leash is dropped upon my knee. We're on the street, no time to waste. A million squirrels must be treed. Some cats must be tormented next. Will does this all at double speed. Around the block and up the street, he travels at the speed of sound. And I, attached to him by leash, am led around and round and round. I must confess I like the speed. It's fun to travel, zip, zam, zoom. But sometimes when I'm out with Will, I wonder who is walking whom. So right there we have our poem, Walking Big Willie. Remember the first time I asked you to read just to see if you truly understood what was going on in the poem. So a couple of comprehension questions. Who is the main character in our story? So who is this story all about? You can find some clues in the title. Perfect. So the main character is a dog named Big Willie. Yes, we have a younger boy in there, but the main character, the star of this poem, is Big Willie. And we also get that because we see him in the picture, and the title is called Walking Big Willie. Next comprehension question. Who do you think is the narrator of this poem? And why do you think that? Okay. Yes, the narrator is most likely the dog's owner. The narrator walks Big Willie and talks about what Willie does at home while I am working hard at school. So we know that the dog, Big Willie, is not the one telling the story, but rather our narrator is the young boy or Big Willie's owner. Last question. What is the poem mostly about? So what is the main idea of this? It's all about what it's like to walk Big Willie. So it's from the narrator's point of view, from the young boy, and he's talking all about what it's like to walk Big Willie. Now, in the story, we saw a lot of figurative language or words that meant other things. We saw things like similes, where we use like or as to compare two unlike things. And that's important for us to address because that's going to help us better understand what we just read. So we saw right here, Big Willie shakes himself awake. So we know we're talking about the dog. When through the door, I come at 3. So we know that he's coming home around 3 o'clock. A furry bullet knocks me down. So do we really think that a furry bullet just came out of nowhere and then knocked over this boy? No. We are comparing Big Willie the dog to a furry bullet. So we're thinking about how fast a bullet can fly, and we're thinking about how furry a dog is. And a leash is dropped upon my knee. So we know that Willie probably was carrying his leash in his mouth, and he's super excited to go for a walk. And then he drops the leash as soon as the owner gets home on his owner's knee to let him know, hey guy, I'm ready. Hey human, take me for a walk. So we just read the story of Walking Big Willie, and now we are going to flip on over to page 301 because we have another graphic organizer that's going to help us truly understand what we just read. If you're using your Nearpod, this is the perfect time to start typing. So it says think. The pattern of strong or stressed and weak syllables in a verse is its meter. Each verse in this poem has 8 syllables, and every other syllable is strong. Study the meter of verse 1, then underline the strong syllables in verse 2. So that means we are going to have to go back to verse 1 and go back to verse 2 in order to fully accomplish this. Verse 1, it says, while I am working hard at school. So we hear the stronger words. It's more stress. While I am working at or hard at school. So we hear work. That's a lot louder than ing. And hard, that's a lot louder than at. So that's a meter, the parts that are being stressed. While I am working hard at school. So they want us to do that with verse 2. The way that I would do this, I would read it out loud because that's always going to help us to hear which words are being stressed or which syllables are stronger and which ones are weaker. To master math and this and that. So think about that. Which words are we stressing? To master math and this and that. And so you want to go through and you want to highlight the words that are being stressed. So to mast, and it's not all the word master, it's just mast. To master math and this and that. So I would say that math is being stressed as well. To master math and, so not really and this and that. So that's how we would answer number 1. Number 2, it wants us to complete the chart below by adding information about the elements. So it wants us to give descriptions of the different elements. Right now, it tells us to talk about patterns of rhyme. You all are also going to be talking about a verse. So we're going to type that and put this in this box. I want you all to tell me the description for what a verse is. And we know that this is a verse based on the effect. It says creates a pattern of strong and weak beats in a verse. I'm sorry, I typed the wrong thing. It should be a meter. Sorry for any confusions. A meter. So the meter, it says that its purpose or its effect is to create a pattern of strong and weak beats in a verse. And we just saw up here, a meter is the pattern of strong and weak syllables in a verse. So we know that that element is going to be meter. Let's see if we can figure out the next one. The effect of this different structural element is that it creates a sense of sadness, excitement, or other feelings beyond the poet's words. So this gives us feeling. I think when we really feel something, it's because it's got a beat to it. So I think that the one that we're going to be writing about here is going to be the rhythm. So we're going to type in this box, rhythm. So you all need to go and put the descriptions of what a rhyme is in this first box. You're going to put the description of what a meter is in the second one in the middle, and then what the rhythm is. And you're going to finish that by typing in just like I have, and you're going to finish up your description. And then you're also going to answer question number 4 on this next page of the Nearpod. It wants you to describe how the structural elements in the poem we just read, Walking Big Willie, including meter, create certain effects and feelings.